Sure. So this is a colloquium with the Border Research Partnership, which includes Colef, obviously, as well as Arizona State University and the Woodrow Wilson Center in Washington. And really the three of us organizations have decided that we should get together to do research, specifically policy-relevant research about that can guide policymakers as they decide how to manage the border, what policies to implement in the border region, whether they're state, local, or federal policymakers. And so what we're going to do is we're presenting a few different products, but one of the big ones is the State of the Border Report, which is a product that we've been working on for the past year. It's really a comprehensive assessment of where things stand in terms of sustainability, security, quality of life, and trade and economics in the border region, trying to think of ways that we can, assess where we're at and then how do we move forward from here so that we have a better border, basically. Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've had so far, as we've been working on the pieces of the State of the Border Report, for example, I, along with a colleague, Eric Lee from Arizona State University, co-authored the chapter on competitiveness and trade in the border. And we put that out for sort of as a working paper last summer. And it's actually been, picked up by several news outlets, National Public Radio, even the New York Times has paid attention to it and reported on the work that we've done. And so I think by getting that sort of media attention, it sort of validates a little bit that the work that we're doing is really relevant to the issues that we're looking at as a society, but then also as policymakers. And actually recently I've been talking to, on the U.S. side of the border, we have the members of Congress representing border districts on the U.S., over half of them are actually new this year. So I've been spending a lot of time talking to them and their staff, and they're very much receptive to the work that we're doing, because I think what we can do is give them the information they need, the tools that they need, so that they can go talk to their colleagues who aren't from border districts, who don't know so much about the challenges that the border region faces or that trade between the two countries faces here at the border, and explain to them why this is important to the entirety of the two countries, all of Mexico and all of the U.S., not just people living right here along the border. It's been fantastic. I think in a lot of ways the way that we've been able to collaborate and work together is a sign or a metaphor of what I think is really needed in a broader scale along the border if we want to improve public policy. And that's bringing stakeholders together from Washington, from the U.S. side of the border, from the Mexican side of the border, from Mexico City, and really having all these different groups with different interests work together on a similar project. And really our partnership with Colef brings a lot to our work because, being in Washington, we have a different perspective than someone living here in Tijuana right on the border does. And together, I think that we can do the research that's really relevant and able to push the ball forward a little bit in terms of border policy.
I think the main frame for thinking about the proceedings today are that while there are many visions for what we want the border to be, there are very few ways of, number one, arriving there, number two, measuring that we are making progress towards that vision, and number three, understanding where we are right now. In other words, the state of the border today. So we're going to explore those four components in hopefully a logical way. We hope that there are a number of border actors who can pick up our recommendations. We've spoken to border governors. We know border legislators on both sides. We were intended to be at the border mayors meeting next week. I'm having a conference in March where we have the ambassadors with us. So it's by the many levels of government cooperating and by civil society cooperating and the private sector and the public sector together, we hope to be able to affect some of the changes, not only in the border region, but between U.S. and Mexico in general. Well, I think there's been an emphasis recently, we could say since the election, both elections, to try to re-articulate the border differently. It's more about trade and jobs and economic opportunity and less about the violence and corruption and drugs that we heard so much about for the last basically decades. So I think that we can make progress if we're able to change that story effectively. We will only be able to get comprehensive immigration reform through if people recognize how important Mexico and Mexicans and trade and migration is to the prosperity, to the competitiveness of the United States and to North America in general.